Welcome back everybody to another MOTOBOB video. We're still at EICMA in Milan, the world's biggest and best motorcycle show, and now we're at the Suzuki stand, and I think one of their biggest two announcements for this year is this bike, the GSX-8R. It's a kind of sporty take on their existing 800 platform, and so in this video we'll go through the 9 things that you need to know about it. Now the standout feature of this bike for me is going to be this 800 parallel twin that they've already used in that GSX-8S naked bike and the V-Strom 800 DE and RE. Now in terms of power, we're talking 82 horses at 8,500 RPM, 78 Newton meters of peak torque at 6,800, and that might not sound quite as punchy as something like the Honda Hornet, which is a competitor for the 8S, but don't let those headline figures fool you. It's a really good engine, very strong in the mid-range, super smooth as well, which I really liked, great on the throttle, and you've got a 6-speed gearbox with a slip assist clutch, so nice and refined, and also a nice sound at the exhaust, given that it's got that 270 crank, which gives it a bit of a V-twin flavor. The only thing I will say with it being a sports bike is maybe some riders will prefer something that is a bit more top-end focused and revvy, perhaps if you're looking to do track days or something like that. But I think it's a good all-rounder, it's a good road bike, it's a good track bike as well. For a lot of people, this is going to be a really usable engine. And for me, both in the naked and the V-Strom, it was super entertaining and really fun to ride. Now, as for the chassis, there's plenty in common with that GSX-8S. So I think it's pretty much the same tubular steel frame that you can't quite see because it's shrouded now by this fairing, but also you got this bolt-on sort of semi-steel trellis subframe, which I think is quite a nice visual feature as well. 14-litre fuel tank up top, and that looks to be pretty much the same, but where it does differ is with the suspension. On the naked, you've got a non-adjustable KYB fork and shock, but I think you've got a little more quality here. It's a Showa big piston, separate function fork, and then also there's a Showa shock at the rear too. Still, no adjustability, so you're gonna have to make do with the damping settings on the front there. And on the rear again, we're just preload adjustable, so of course you can compensate for a passenger and or luggage. There is soft luggage on one of the accessorized bikes over there, but yeah, perhaps this is not one for those who want to fine-tune the response of their suspension. Braking hardware is pretty much the same as the 8S though, so you've got these radially mounted 4-pot Nissin calipers, fairly big 310mm disc, and then there's a single pot caliper at the rear on a 240mm disc. And while it isn't, you know, top of the line most premium stuff, I found on the 8S it was more than up to the job and great braking power and feel, so I think it'll be ample for this bike as well. As for tyres, it's a 120/70 at the front. These are Dunlop Road Sport 2s, and then at the rear we've got a 180/55, which you might not find on some of the competition. So the Honda Hornet has a really slender looking rear tyre. I know from the comments some of you thought it looked a little bit too skinny. A big 180 on the back of this bike though gives it that proper big bike look from the rear end. Now look, before we get on to the next bit of the bike, I just want to say a huge thanks to our 2 sponsors this week, and that's Insta360 and Metzeler tyres. Specifically with Insta360, we use their X3 cameras to capture all of our riding footage. I've been using it here today as well to get some super wide shots of this massive show, and it really is brilliant. I love using this out on a ride because the cool thing about a 360 camera is you can just stick it anywhere on the bike, and then once you're done, download the footage into the app or their desktop software, and you can reframe it and take different landscape or portrait shots for different uses, and it just makes capturing and sharing your rides really creative but also easy and stress-free. Also, they've got a great range of accessories and mounts for motorcyclists, so you can really stick it anywhere on the bike or yourself without worrying that you've bodged it and it's going to fall off. So do check out the link down in the description to get yours, and also down there you'll find a code which will give you a free gift with every X3 purchase. So once again, a massive thanks to our sponsors, and with that, back to the bike. Onto the riding position, and naturally you're going to be a little bit lower and further forward at the front here with this sort of clip-on style handlebar. I mean, it does sit quite high above the top yokes there, but it is a little lower than the naked version and turned back a bit so your elbows are tucked in, and I think that's going to be quite a nice versatile riding position. A little bit sporty, but also look, I can pretty much sit upright. I think that's partly because the seat height is still 8'10", so I don't think there's any big changes there. The foot peg position feels pretty similar as well, perhaps a touch higher, I don't know, but definitely feels like a position that you could sustain over time. The other thing in terms of comfort as well is you do have this windscreen. I wouldn't say it's particularly big, it's not like a touring windscreen, but perhaps if you're doing decent speed and you're tucked in a little bit, you know, you can just about get in behind it. Overall, sitting on it, it just feels like a typical mid-size sports bike, very similar to like a Ninja 650 or a CBR 650R. A little less aggressive perhaps than the Yamaha R7, which is quite low and further forward on the bars. But like I say, I think that's going to make it a better all-rounder. And of course, being faired with the little windscreen and all that, it does change the look of the bike. It really does look like a GSX-8S with a fairing on it. You know, there's a lot of the visuals of the bike that are in common between the two. But yeah, at the front end, you've got a similar stacked headlights. This is almost a bit of a signature design feature now for Suzuki. It's kind of similar to what you get on the V-Strom as well. But yeah, obviously a lot more down and around here, and I think they've done quite a nice job of it. It's got a very modern, angular look to it. Looks quite sporty, so I think that's going to be appealing to a lot of people. 3 color choices for this bike. We've got them all on the stand here, so we'll cut in some nice pictures of them. This is your classic Suzuki metallic blue, and I think it does look really popping, especially under the lights here. Over there, we've got the silver version, which naturally is a little more subdued, but they have given it a pop of red on the wheels and with some of the graphics, and so a nice option there as well. And then behind me here, it's more of a metallic black slash very dark grey, one for the stealthy bike lovers. One of the things that I really liked both about the V-Strom and the GSX-8S is the dash. It's a 5-inch color TFT, really nice and readable. I like the design style of it. And also, while it might not sound great that it doesn't have any built-in riding modes, you can actually select 3 levels of power and 3 levels of traction control, and it kind of makes it quite nice and easy and intuitive. It's got a very simple, clean switchgear design, which I think makes it very easy to use as well. And so yeah, great to see it carried over directly, no changes needed here. It does have ABS, there's no different levels of settings for that though. And elsewhere on the tech package, you've got an up and down quick shifter as standard, nice and crisp, adds a little bit of a sporty vibe to it. You've got that easy start system, which is just a single press on the starter and it fires straight up, and also a low RPM assist, which gives it a little bit of gas in the low revs to help prevent stalling. Unfortunately, no price as of yet for this one. I believe it's coming in the new year, but I'd imagine somewhere around the £9,000 mark would be a good benchmark. That's what you're looking at for a Yamaha R7. I don't think this is going to be the cheapest bike in the segment, but it won't be up around that sort of Aprilia RS660 RRP, which is like just over 10 grand. 9K, I think would put it in the right area. And I think what you're getting is a great torquey engine, a cool styling package, looks like a decent chassis, and also, like I say, I really like the implementation of the tech on this bike. As always though, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether you go for this over any of the existing middleweights on the market. Also, we've got a playlist on the screen right now, which is all of our EICMA content. We'll be adding to it through the coming week. Loads of cool bikes to cover, so do check it out. If you're not subscribed already, then do hit subscribe, and you'll see all of those videos as soon as they go live in your subscription feed. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, which is coming very soon.